All right, guys, welcome back. We're on week 3 of this. So in your Canvas, you'll notice that it will be listed under the module week 3 as soon as I publish it. This video will be under week 3. And then you will have assignments. I haven't named them yet. This is just a copy of a previous assignment. And it will, you'll be able to find everything here. Whatever assignments you have not submitted yet, you need to get those done in order for you to get points. Right now, as you guys can see, I have a rule of thirds, asymmetrical, balance photo, and a bird's eye photo to grade. I have 3 photos, and I'm only getting photos from 2 or 3 of you. So if you guys are having problems with the photography assignments, please let me know. Don't suffer in silence. If it's because you don't have equipment, tell me. If it's because you haven't found a way to edit your photos or to find the MASL information, let me know so that I can help you, okay? Now, for this week's assignments, you are going to do a framing composition. So remember that framing uses the natural surroundings, whether it's a window, an archway, looking through some kind of an opening, such as this lattice work on a fence. You see here in this image, the plane is framed perfectly in by these skyscrapers. This is like looking at a Bob Ross painting through your window. Looking at some rock formations through an arch. Here we are looking at this sky, the waterfall inside the cave. That's kind of cool. This kid down inside or inside a log or something, probably in a redwood forest. Here we're looking through some kind of a window, something like that. Here we're looking through these columns and arches out at the landscape. This one, these figures, these silhouettes or these shadows are framed by the light. So you don't have to have a physical structure such as this box or an archway or even these tree branches that are framing in this boat. It can be light, or let me see if I can find one. You can see here this dark shape framing in the head of the owl. So you have this, the framing occurs when you have this extreme shift in whether it's an edge or a shift in value from light to dark or one color to another color. Okay, she's being framed in by this white door. Do not do framing like this, having somebody hold their fingers up around your subject. That's lame. Please don't be that bad. Okay, right here. Her face is framed in by her dark hair. Okay, so framing can happen as simple as that. and it doesn't have to be a perfect frame on all four sides. Okay, this is a partial frame, but because we're blocking out some of that sky, the photographer has still framed in the airplane. This woman here is framed in by two things. One, the trees. Okay, they create this dark texture around her. She's also framed in by the bright, overexposed morning sky. This is a good one. We have these repeated columns, and he is framed in just by this one column. Okay? Framing is working with positive and negative space. Your positive space is your subject, this boy. Your negative space is what is around it. So in this single shape here, okay, that's slightly darker than this shape and this thin rectangle. Okay. So he's framed in, and it makes his face stand out more. It adds more emphasis, and that's the purpose of framing, is to add emphasis to your subject. Okay, here we are at the playground. Okay, you shouldn't be going to the playground right now, but these ropes here, which the boy is not sitting on, this is a really bad merger, but these ropes from some kind of a net are framing this boy in. Okay. Her face is framed in by the red hair. Her face is framed in by her dark hair. There's a video that I will post. It's by this photographer. He talks about using framing and leading lines and a couple other composition techniques for portraiture, but it could easily transfer into other types of photography, whether you're doing still life, jewelry, or you're doing landscape, or you're doing farm animals. Farm animals in general, you can pretty much consider that portrait photography loosely. And so you're going to use some of the same techniques. Now, your other photo for this week, and this one's going to take some planning and some equipment. You're going to want a tripod or even just a beanbag to set your camera on. And you're going to want to use the timer on your camera. And I will post a video on how to set the settings on your camera for timer. Whether you do a 10-second, a 2-second, or you manually set your timer. And then you'll also be using a slow shutter speed. So what it's called is light painting. And this is a photography class in California that I get a lot of ideas from them. She comes up with some pretty cool ideas. So you'll want your shutter speed at 20 to 30 seconds, not a 20th of a second, but the full 20 seconds. You want your camera on self-timer to avoid camera shake, and you'll want to shoot it in manual with an f-stop of 16 or 22. So that should be your aperture, and your ISO should be at 1 or 200. You want to pre-focus your camera on manual mode because the camera will not autofocus with low light. You'll wave finger lights or any other kind of light in front of the frame during the exposure and check out the results. Okay. So what the photographer is doing is then painting light around the subject, and because the shutter is slow, The image sensor is reading that slur or stroke of light. And you can do all sorts of things where you're outlining figures. Here we've got devil with horns, or you can make it more abstract. We've got something that resembles an American flag. We've got outlining the violin. Here we're outlining some kind of a statue, even outlining a camera. Here they've just drawn out a figure. It looks like maybe there's a person in there, but the exposure is a little dark. Okay, and I wanted to show you these examples for some ideas. So, not that there's a lot of traffic at night, but going out on the street, a busier street at night with a slow shutter speed, and you can capture the light from the headlights and taillights, or you can go to an overpass on the freeway and do it that way. If you have somebody running with lights and jumping up and down, moving their flashlight around, you're going to get that kind of effect. This is to do this, what they typically do is they put sparklers on a string, a long string, and then they spin it around, and then all of those sparks that fly off, that's these streams of light. And then because they're spinning it, this here in the middle is left open. Okay, here the photographer is using some kind of a light, finger lights to write the year, okay, or drawing these skeleton figures around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and playing the guitar and warming their hands. Okay, or how about an octopus? Now, because the shutter is so slow, it's going to pick up light, and you can see here where the beach is lit up a little bit. Okay, this one being just an abstract, maybe they were trying to write something in there. Here they're just playing around, swirls, happy faces, emoji faces, whatever. Here they're spinning lights going around. There's over a doll. There's some abstract lights, finger lights. Looks like slinkies or something. That's just cheesy. Okay, here we've got fire, smoke, whatever. I like this one. She looks like the little homely girl, but you've got all this abstract light going on around it. This one's underexposed, but they've got these cool little light. Looks like from a lamp or something that's creating those. Okay, somebody running around with a sparkler. More sparklers. And I've talked to Officer Campbell about using sparklers during non-firework times of the year. And he says that it is not against the law so long as you're not doing it out in a dry field. I wouldn't head out to farmer's field or something like that to do this, but you go into a parking lot. You could go somewhere where there's no dry brush. You don't have to worry about catching everything on fire. Okay, or you can just do it in your living room. Now, it would be awesome if you could have this match up with your theme, of course. But for some of you, that might not work. Okay, so what you'll need to do is just create something that's interesting to you. You could do something as simple as this. Okay, here they've got somebody running around with a flashlight or something, a light bar. And so if you were doing landscape or farm, you could do something like that. If you were doing jewelry, You could paint around your subject. Okay. This is inside the spiral. That one's kind of cool. Okay. So if you're doing jewelry, you could do something like this where you're painting around it. Okay. Or that bike. Here's some abstract lines. That's pretty cool. Or with the rainbow, or I mean, sorry, the umbrella. And you can see how, I mean, it's a transparent or translucent umbrella, but it lights up inside. It's kind of cool. Or your bathroom sink. Okay. I don't know if that's a nose ring or a booger, but it's kind of weird. Okay, this one's cool. You can see right here the leg, ghost leg of a figure as they were running out. You can see a little bit of their ghost face there. So they had the people run out of the image as soon as they were finished painting them. So I think you get the basic idea, and it's going to take some practice. It's not going to happen for you really good on the first time or even the first 10 times. Don't just give me your first shot at it. Last semester when we did this, students were giving me their first photo that they took, their only photo, and they were awful. And it wasn't even abstract. It was a streak of light through the picture frame, and super lame and ridiculous. Please, push yourself to do more than just that. Okay, that's cheesy. If you haven't figured it out, I'm not a fan of cheesy. To me, cheesy is trite, overused, and I expect of myself and others better than that. Okay? It's okay to be cheesy for your own purposes, but not to share with the public. I use cheesy, trite stuff, to laugh at. And I share it with my wife, and that's it. Okay? So, and those are the 2 photo assignments for this week. And then if you haven't submitted your other assignments, please get those in. You have spring break next week, so there won't be any assignments for next week. So if you need to get a camera, please message me. And I can check one out to you. If you just want to keep using your phone, I am fine with that. But make sure, guys, that you're getting your work done. These photo assignments shouldn't take you more than an hour, maybe 2 hours if you're really putting in a lot of effort per week. Okay, that's not per assignment. That's total 2 assignments for the whole week. And I really want to see you succeed, but right now I'm not seeing much of anything. So if I don't hear from you, I don't know how to help you. Okay? Let's get it done. Good luck with it all, and we'll talk to you later.